709-0543. This message is brought to you by 5210 Let's Move Missoula.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's time for Montana's only daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Colter Nuanez.
What's up, Montana? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. And now we're going to take a moment for freedom.
The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms in which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is the right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended he is utterly neglected to attend them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and rising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation,
For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people.
Nor have we been wanting in attention to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connection and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and holds them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Well, that was pretty cool. Great job by Parker and everybody else here at Missoula Broadcasting Company for contributing to that. That was a statewide request and a statewide idea. Dewey Bruce, the chairman of the Montana Broadcasters Association, he sent out an email saying for solidarity and the celebration of the 250th anniversary of America that broadcasters around the state can and should read the Declaration of Independence live on the air at 4 o'clock. So if you're listening to Missoula Broadcasting stations, well, guess what? That was just on all four of them at the same time. Don't know if we've ever done that before, but pretty cool. Great job by our team for producing that, but also a great idea from the Montana Broadcasters Association. And we've reached this weird point in society where acknowledging and emphasizing historical things like the Declaration of Independence or the American flag or the Constitution of the United States has some sort of, not necessarily political connotation, but like it inflames a political conversation. It doesn't have to be like that. The Declaration of Independence is a document that exists, that is beautifully written, and that's the whole point. That is not to stand for any side of any political argument. That is literally just an homage and a happy birthday, a happy 250th birthday to the United States of America. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and a great job by everybody for helping put that together. You're listening to Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. We'll be coming to you here for the next hour and 50 minutes. We got plenty of stuff coming your way. I want to talk linebackers when it comes to the Grizz football team. Linebacker has been a position that's been synonymous with Grizz football, so I have a little historical context. And then we're also going to hear from one of the great linebackers that's currently with the Grizz football team, Peyton Wing. He is hosting a youth football camp. He is one of 5 Grizz hosting a youth football camp 9 days from now at the University of Montana Athletics Bubble. So we'll hear from Peyton, talk a bunch of off-season stuff, what it was like for him, his first season here in Missoula. Also give you some historical context when it comes to Grizz football. We're also going to talk some World Cup. What a thriller last night between Switzerland and Colombia. When any soccer match comes down to penalty kicks, I don't know if there is another scenario in any sport that can more clearly define the notion of the agony and the ecstasy than a soccer shootout. Because if you miss or the goalkeeper makes a save, the deflation for the person that didn't make it plus the elation for the side that benefits from it is crazy. It was great drama. We'll talk about that, plus the quarterfinal matchups. We're down to 8 in the World Cup. And, it's pretty much the who's who. There's only a couple true world powers that are not playing in the final 8 of the World Cup. So we'll do that while we give you a basket of wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. That's coming up about 4:45. And then top of the 5 o'clock hour, Marty Mornaweg will join us in studio, and he's bringing a couple other Mornawegs as well. Both of his sons, Bobby Cade Mornaweg and Skylar Mornaweg, are back for Camp Marty, which is Marty Mornaweg's great camp that he facilitates each year, highlighting usually like between 12 and 15 of the best high school quarterbacks from around the state of Montana. So we'll talk about those guys. We'll talk about the camp and talk about everything in between. And we'll also give you an update on everything baseball, paddleheads, and Major League Baseball, and whatever headlines we can get to. So that's what's coming up. We'll take an early break, come back, talk all things Grizz linebackers, both historically and contemporarily. And we'll hear from Peyton Wing, a stud Grizz linebacker in his own right. That's all next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
Rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Montana Grizzlies will play 4 night games as part of its 12-game schedule as kickoff times were unveiled on Tuesday. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. The Grizzlies will play 2 home games under the lights. The first comes in their home opener against Southern Utah, which will also be Bobby Kennedy's head coaching debut at 7 p.m. on August 29th. The second comes in the regular season home finale against Idaho State at 8:30 p.m. on November 14th. The Grizz will also have 2 night games on the road, coming in back-to-back weeks. 9 p.m. September 19th at Oregon State and 8 p.m. September 26th at UC Davis. That means 3 of U of M's first 5 games to start the season will kick off at night. The Brawl of the Wild against Montana State remains in its usual noon slot and will be played November 21st in Bozeman. The Grizz get 4 1 p.m. kickoffs all at home. September 5th against Drake, September 12th against Utah Tech, October 17th against Idaho, and November 7th against Portland State. They'll also have 2 2 p.m. kickoff games, October 3rd hosting Northern Colorado and October 31st at Eastern Washington. Their lone 3 p.m. game will be October 10th at Northern Arizona. Kickoff times across the Big Sky were announced earlier this week. Montana State opens the season with 3 straight night games, including road games at Utah Tech and Nevada. Montana State's homecoming game September 26th against NAU and the following Friday night at Idaho are both 8:30 p.m. kick times.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Man, I haven't listened to this song in a long time. We had an educational experience around Toby Keith a while back because we have some people here that are pretty young that didn't remember. Pretty good songwriter. There's a picture circulating around social media. People post 4th of July pictures on 4th of July, of course. And Toby Keith was in Missoula down at Stockman's Bar once upon a time. And Stocks, I can't remember who, somebody that worked down there during yesteryear, posted that picture on the 4th, and it brought back a lot of great memories. Well, it's now 102.9 ESPN Radio. We're coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal has roll-off boxes for your construction project. Call Grizzly Disposal to get yours within 24 hours. Don't wait days or even weeks for your construction roll-off box. Grizzly Disposal has them in stock and can get them to you fast. Visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. We continue a fun interview series. Most of the time, you're just not really going to get interviews with Grizz and Bobcat football players in the middle of July. But we are the official media sponsor of a By the Players for the Kids camp, which is coming up next Friday at the University of Montana Athletics Bubble. And this is a camp that's going to be hosted by Brooks Davis, Ian Finch, Tanner Huff, Peyton Wing, and Kaylee Ayat. We've heard so far from Kaylee Ayat and Ian Finch, because I said, okay, boys, let's do interviews, and we can talk a little bit about the camp, and mostly just talk about you guys and your team and the offseason for the Grizz, right? Good collaboration and good trade for everybody, right? We get some content, we get an interview, and they get to talk about their camps. So you heard from Kaylee Ayat, you heard from Ian Finch. We're going to hear from Peyton Wing today, and we heard from Tanner Huff yesterday. We hear from Peyton Wing today, and then we'll hear from Brooks Davis tomorrow. So looking forward to that. But I've been thinking about linebackers, especially for the Grizz football team, extensively, because there's been so much made of, and I can't say that I haven't been somebody that's just been leading the charge on this. I think we all watch football in a different way. I think the vast majority of people that watch football by watching the ball and where the ball goes. That's why the quarterback is the most important position in team sports, but it's also the easiest position for the common football fan to watch because he gets the ball at every play. He's the guy that's directing all the traffic. I think the vast majority of people watch football through the lens of the ball. I watch football through the lens of the line of scrimmage. My brother watches football through the lens of the defensive backs, so he's so good at recognizing the coverages and what a defense is actually doing. I watch it through the lens of a lineman. I mean, it's not a coincidence. That's what I played. That's what he played, right? So I watch it through the lens of a center. So I'm always looking at the front and what's going on with what the front is doing. There's been so much that's been made about the offensive line and the defensive line for the Grizz. Because if you were to analyze over the last, let's say, 15 years, the Grizz have been very good, but they haven't been as good as the teams that they're trying to surpass. The Dakota States of the world, specifically, it's basically been North Dakota State, South Dakota State, James Madison, Montana State. Those are the teams that have been definitively and consistently ahead of the Grizz. The Grizz have been better than pretty much everybody else. There was a moment in time when Eastern Washington was certainly on par or ahead of the Grizz, and probably Weber State as well. UC Davis has had their moments. But like in terms of the last 15 years, since NDSU dominated the subdivision, the only other teams that have been able to stand next to NDSU consistently were James Madison before they moved up, Sam Houston State before they moved up, South Dakota State, and Montana State. Those have been the ones that have been able to stand next to or at least be in that same top tier with NDSU, with the Bison. Well, now the Bison are gone, so that's a huge opportunity for everybody else within the subdivision. But I think that when the coaching change at the University of Montana happened, and it was defined that Bobby Kennedy was going to bring in a new defensive coordinator, which he did it with Eric Sanders, and largely a new defensive staff, which he did with Sanders now coaching the linebackers as well as being the DC, Jalen Johnson coaching the defensive line, Wes Nurse coaching the secondary, and then they kept Kim McLeod as the corners coach. I think a lot was made of the fact that the Grizz were getting rid of the 3-3-5 and how that was going to impact the front. And I think when people hear front, they specifically think of the defensive line. But the front is actually the front seven, right? Where are those guys going? What are they doing? Well, when you look at the Grizz over the last 40 years, they have had no shortage of great linebackers. There's a reason they call it linebacker U. It is a definitive pipeline that dates back forever. I mean, over that time, since 1986, over the last 40 years, the Grizz have had 33 linebackers receive first-team All-Big Sky honors. They've also had 15 linebackers that have received first-team All-American honors. Those guys include Mike Rankin, who was a three-time All-American for the Grizz in the late 1980s. J.C. Campbell was a first-team All-American in 1989. Chad Lemke, a first-team All-American in 1991. Dan Downs, an All-American in 1994. Mike Boucher, a Missoula Hellgate kid, was an All-American in 1995. Jason Crebo was a three-time All-American linebacker, 95, 96, 97. Matt Steinel, back-to-back All-American honors in 2000 and 2001. Caleb McSurdy, an All-American in 2011 after winning the Big Sky Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Crebo was also a Defensive Player of the Year among these linebackers as well. Jordan Tripp, a two-time All-American linebacker for the Grizz, as was Josh Buss. Dante Olson was a two-time All-American, as well as the Buck Buchanan Award winner in 2019. And Patrick O'Connell, a All-American and a Buck Buchanan finalist in 2021. Mentioning that history, I think, is interesting because I think there's a couple things that really stood out to me there. One, this is a complete aside from the conversation we're having right now, but it's worth noting. It's actually crazy that the Grizz did not have an All-American linebacker from 2001 to 2011. I actually think that's a product of the fact that the Grizz had so many good linebackers that those guys were sort of eating off of each other, right? There was nobody that had gaudy statistics to be like that headline. Like, none were that much better than the other. They were all just really, really good. But I was still a little bit surprised that, you know, a guy like Sean Lebsock, for example, or a guy like Shane McIntyre, Brett Myers, who else is from that 2000s run? Lauren Utterback. Like, all those guys were first-team all-conference guys, but they weren't All-Americans. And a lot of times it was because they were playing with each other during that 2000s run, like 2002 to 2009 when the Grizz were so good and so good on defense. You just expect them to have a great linebacker there. That's a total aside, though. That was just a statistic that I thought was pretty staggering when I got there. What I want to say, though, is that the Grizz have had great linebackers since they started running the 3-3-5 in 2018, including Dante Olson and Patrick O'Connell, who were both All-Americans. Jace Lewis was a first-team All-Conference guy. O'Connell was a first-team All-Conference guy and an All-American. But what the linebackers for Montana were asked to do in the 3-3-5 is totally different than what you're going to be asked to do in almost any other defense. You've heard Bobby Howe, former Grizz head coach, say this at multiple press conferences when asked about concepts like run fits or setting the edge or spilling. He would always snap at you and say, "We don't have run fits in our defense. We don't set the edge per se like a traditional defense." That's what makes the 3-3-5 chaotic. It's what makes the 3-3-5 exotic. It's what makes the 3-3-5 really fun to watch when it's rolling. It's also what makes it non-traditional. It's also what makes it vulnerable at times as well. And certainly lacking traditional fundamentals that are basically tenets of almost every other part of defensive football. So, like, when you look at the great players like Jace Lewis, like Dante Olson, like Marcus Wellnell, like Braxton Hill, and even like Peyton Wing running it last year, Solomon Tuliapupu, Caleb Otluski, all those guys I thought had great seasons last year. They were all three of those guys I named were all league guys last year. But they were, a lot of times, each linebacker spot in the 3-3-5 was set up to be the free hitter, is what they would call it. Basically, there isn't, if you're unfamiliar, maybe I'm talking gibberish here, but if you're unfamiliar with what a run fit is how the defense flows to the ball based on what the blocking scheme they see and then where the running back picks the hole. And when you talk about setting the edge, a lot of times you got to set the edge to get the running back to cut back because the run fit goes then to the cutback guy or it goes to the weak side, the will linebacker. There's a lot of nuance to it. But the point is, the Grizz have not been operating a defense like that. They've been operating a defense where it's a whole bunch of voodoo, it's a whole bunch of chaos, it's a whole bunch of pressure, and a whole bunch of blitzing. When it works great, and you can manufacture negative plays at a super high rate. It's also difficult to learn, and I think it's not as translatable, and guys can't get on the field as early as maybe they would otherwise, or if you get a really good player that's a transfer, it's going to take them a while to really turn a corner. Like you saw with Tuliapupu, he's an undeniable talent. He's a crazy talent. He was the number one defensive prospect in the country coming out of high school, went to USC. He was good because he's so physically intimidating and powerful throughout the duration of last year. But the second half of the year, he was great, and the last stretch of the year, he was unbelievable. He's unstoppable. I mean, he ruined South Dakota State in the playoffs because he was learning the position. He was learning how to do it. That's all to say, then, I wonder how much the change in the 3-3-5, because everybody's talked about, okay, they're going to play less man coverage on the outside. That's going to help the corners. They are going to have more defensive linemen on the fields, which should help them against power run teams, which has been something that's been a challenge. Certainly, power run teams have been the ones that won the national championship for basically 15 years in a row in the FCS. When North Dakota State wins 9 of them, that's one of the power run teams. But same thing with the Cats, same thing with South Dakota State. So I think that the notion has been that the spots that are going to be improved naturally, or not even improved, just more traditional and more fundamental naturally by going away from the 3-3-5 are on the defensive line and on the outside. But I was really thinking about the linebackers as well. A guy like Peyton Wing, who's going to join us here in just a little bit, he played, I'm assuming, a pretty traditional defense in high school. Then at Portland State, they actually played the old school flex defense, like the Desert Swarm 1990s defense that made Teddy Bruschi and guys like that complete superstars during the early 1990s. At Portland State, he did. So that's a little bit unorthodox. And then he gets to Montana and he plays in another unorthodox defense. I just wonder what the linebacker adjustments are going to be like. And if it is a little bit more traditional and a little bit more fundamentally sound, if that actually causes the great talent that already exists at linebacker, led by Peyton Wing and Solomon Tuliaupupu, to even take a huge step forward, even though they are learning a new scheme compared to last year. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I do think the guys that have the chance to, I think that there's 4 guys that I think are really going to have a chance to make a huge step forward because of the adjustment in scheme, specifically at the linebacker spot. I think Wing is one of them. I think Clay Oven, number 37 out of Billings Central, I think he's another one. Because I do think that in the defense they were playing, Oven's got a lot of pop and he's a good blitzer. But he also, even though he's totally, I mean, he's ripped. Like he is a very muscular kid. He doesn't have a ton of mass. He's only about 220 pounds. I think he's probably bigger than that now. But that's what he played out last year. So I think putting him in more of either a Sam or a Will linebacker spot where he can use his wheels and play in space a little bit, I think that's really good for him. I think that's going to be a huge step. I also think being able to play Tuliaupupu as the guy that is coming off the edge more consistently, and not as just a blitzer, but the guy that's actually like the buck linebacker sometimes, I think that makes him a monster. Like, I think that makes him an absolute savage coming off the edge. And then the 4th guy, I think, is same analysis, is Styles Goodman. He was one of my huge standouts of spring, and I think he, as a guy that's also going to play like a stand-up outside linebacker type of spot and come off the edge, I think that's a huge boost for him in terms of the scheme change. When it comes to the Grizzlies linebackers, though, I expect those 4 guys to headline it, but I think they have a lot of other guys that are going to vie for time on the field. They brought in a ton of transfers. That was the last coaching staff for the last scheme, so that's also an interesting fold. But Justin Eklund out of Bowling Green is a transfer I thought looked good during spring. Now, E.T., I think is how you say it, Mose, last name Mose, I know that's for sure. He's a transfer from Georgetown. Prepped at Trinity High School in Euless, Texas, which is a powerhouse among powerhouses. Trinity is one of the great football programs in the entire state of Texas. So I think that gives him great pedigree. But they brought him in to be a guy on the inside, which I think could help him as well. And then Tanner Williams, a guy out of San Diego State, is another transfer they brought in. So when you bring in 3 pretty high-profile transfers, you do it for depth, but you do it for competition. But I think that they're expecting all those guys to contribute. So when you add those 3 to then the other group that is sort of the stalwart headlining group with Wing and Oven and Tuliaupupu and maybe Styles Goodman, if what we saw in spring continues to show, now you got 7 guys. That's good depth. And then I also thought that Sam Merriman, who is a walk-on, I thought he had a great spring, and I think he's a guy that has some upside. I think Colton Lentz is a kid out of Washington who is a highly regarded high school recruit. I think he has great upside as well. So when you add all those guys together, you're talking about 9 guys. And I think that it would take a catastrophe for the Grizz to not be great at linebacker again, just given all the options that they have. But it also is just, again, it's part of the tradition. 33 first-team all Big Sky Conference guys over the last 40 years, and 15 of them that were first-team All-Americans. So it's been a tradition. It's been an embarrassment of riches, and I think the Grizz have a chance to continue that. Now, the other question is, if the Grizz have always been good at linebacker, how much does being good to great at linebacker actually impact the results of the season? That I'm a little bit unsure of, right? I think that running backs are like linebackers are like running backs, or running backs are like linebackers, right? Having a great one is awesome, but how much does it actually put you over the top, right? Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Isaiah Pacheco was a feature back on the Kansas City Chiefs when they won a Super Bowl. If they would have traded Isaiah Pacheco for Saquon Barkley, they certainly would have been better, but how much would that have put them over the top more? I don't know. It's not the same as if you were to trade quarterbacks, or if you were to trade receivers, or even offensive tackles, or defensive ends, or corners. That said, you have to be good to great at linebacker at either of the Montana schools, just given what's at your disposal and the tradition that exists there. But also, you can't afford to be bad. That's the number one, right? You can't have bad linebackers. And I don't think there's any chance that the Grizz or the Cats do this year, because I just think they have great players at their disposal that they can carry the day. I think one of those players is our next guest here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Well, this is fun. This is we've talked about this young man a lot on this show and on the Big Sky Breakdown podcast, but I think this is actually his first time ever doing it one-on-one. He has been on press conferences, et cetera, but it was interesting because the way it all worked out, a little bit of a late edition last year, and then all of a sudden we're into the season, and it just gets all sorts of crazy. But here we are in the summer, so we're catching up with a bunch of Grizz players because they have a fun camp coming up in July 17th, Washington Grizzly Stadium, including the young man who joins us today, Peyton Wing, and all-conference linebacker last year for the Grizz, about to be a senior at the University of Montana. Peyton, thanks for being here, man. How's it going?
Hey, thank you, Coulter. I really appreciate you having me on.
First of all, you got to talk about your first year in Missoula at the University of Montana. I got to know your dad really well because he comes to every single home game. He swings by my tailgate because it's right on the way to the walking bridge. So Barry always stops by, says what's up, usually coming from the press box, having some breakfast or whatever. But he seems to love Missoula and love the experience you're having. So tell us about your experience of just playing for the Grizz.
Yeah. That's awesome. I get that a lot. My mom and dad, they come to every single game, home and away. And last year we had 8 home season games. So his experience too, and people coming up to me like, "Hey, how's Barry doing?" I'm like, he's just out there meeting everyone, which is awesome, and that's exactly who he is. But my experience is very similar. I love it here. I obviously stayed here for a reason, and I'm very confident in our team moving forward, especially with the new changes. Which are great moves with our spring ball going forward too. Everything's been moving along great, so I'm very excited.
Well, this relatively new dynamic where you can transfer within a league. It's so interesting to me because you were completely familiar with this level of football and with the Big Sky Conference when you came to Montana. Yeah. So how much do you think that sort of helped you to sort of understand? Like when you see UC Davis and you're playing UC Davis, whether you're at Portland State or Montana, it's it's not the same team every year, but it's similar schemes, similar stuff, in similar places when you go on road trips and stuff. How much did that help you?
Yeah, I mean, especially with guys like this coming up season, guys transferred in here, they're talking to us about like, hey, how was this team last year, stuff like that. And I've seen them now for 4 years, so I kind of get a good feeling for each team. But each team comes with a new scheme, and going to a new defense, you're getting a new offensive scheme too. So it changes a little bit, but each team has their main tendencies that they stick true to. But yeah, having that little feel in the 4 years before definitely helps and gives a little slight advantage.
Well, and when you're picking a place to choose to make your new home, having played in Missoula and played against the Grizz probably helped. That's a little bit of a recruiting advantage itself, right? I mean, you'd already played as an opponent at Washington Grizzly Stadium. So did that influence your decision?
Well, so I got my offer from I got an opportunity to play here when I was in the portal, and that was my first visit, and I already knew I wanted to come here, so I just wanted to see the background and see behind the scenes a little bit more, and I think I committed right on the first day I got here. I was more than excited to play here, and it's been a blessing ever since being able to play here. I mean, our community, people that have our backs, support, everything that we have in this community is amazing, and it's kind of like one of our big goals that we're pushing this offseason is to give back to the community as much as we can.
Well, that's certainly one of the motivations of this camp, which we'll get to here in just a minute. But you said you'd kind of always wanted to play for the Grizz, that you knew you wanted to play for the Grizz right away. Where did that come from? You're from Sumner, so Sumner, Washington, so right outside Seattle. You're a regional guy. So did you know about Montana football?
Yeah, I knew a little bit about Montana. I know my dad always mentioned Montana a lot, and I told him growing up as a UW fan, I was like, I want to go play there. That's where I want to go, and I never had the opportunity to play there, which isn't a bad thing. It turned out great for me now, but going to Portland State my first 3 years, I never thought of transferring, and then I finally had an opportunity to, and I jumped on it, and it was after a tough decision, and I love Montana. We had Robbie Hout coach us for 2 years, great Grizz legend, and he was telling me all about it, and I was like, that's exactly what I want to be a part of. So when I finally got the opportunity to play here, I jumped right on it. I didn't dance around. I just wanted to get out of the portal and come here.
Well, certainly you've become a fan favorite in short order, so I think the feelings are mutual, no doubt. Peyton Wing joining us here on Nuanez Now July Radio, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. He's a senior-to-be linebacker for the University of Montana. So take me through then last year. You were a first-team all-conference guy. So what was it like sort of adjusting to the defense, and what helped you have such a good year?
It was tough, honestly. It was all new. Obviously all new verbiage, totally different scheme from what I've ever played in. I've been in a couple different defenses, but I think the first month and a half of going into Coach Coop's office every single day and meeting with him and being able to talk to the guys that have been there, like the senior leaders like Gino Leonard and more other guys, really helped. And like the support too, that within our practices, everyone was watching everyone because we had such a talented group. We wanted the best for everyone. So it was a lot of accountability, and there's a high standard. There's been great, amazing Grizz linebackers come through this room, and to be a part of it, I know that coming in, I had big shoes to fill. So just holding myself accountable and being disciplined every single day, trying to learn the defense as fast as I could, because I ultimately wanted to add as much as I can to the team. And yeah, I was very grateful for all the support I got.
Well, over the years, there's been a couple linebacker U's, but Montana's always been known as linebacker U at the FCS level, at least for the last 35, 40 years. So when did that set into you, though, just sort of all of the great linebackers that have come through the halls there and come through the locker room at Montana?
Yeah, learning the history, too, behind it. Like, the tradition and the history of this team is unmatched. It's just so cool. But it also comes with like, hey, man, there's guys that have been here before you, done a lot better. And it's like, I got big shoes to fill. And it's the community of Missoula, they expect a lot from us. And, they come and they give it their all on Saturdays for us. And they're expecting a win in Wagriz. So to know that and to finally play for that and to add on to it and tell the new transfers how it is, it's a big honor, but it's a big responsibility. So this off season, man, it's been fun, and it's a grind, and it's what it's all about. Yeah. Being a Seahawks fan, Pat O'Connell, watching him play, win a Super Bowl, it's amazing. So, there's great Grizz legends like that, too, all over.
Yeah, a couple Seahawks ties. Brock Coyle going to Montana
Brock Coyle.
Yeah, he's going to Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame this upcoming weekend. He played for the Seahawks as well. So pretty cool to be a part of that, and for you to understand that too. That's awesome. So you mentioned it, though. At Portland State, you guys ran a couple different schemes. Now at Montana, you ran one of the most unorthodox schemes I've ever covered over these last 8 years or whatever. And that now you got another new scheme. So how's it been going learning Eric Sanders stuff, and what sort of differences do you notice? You don't have to get into the in-depth details of the scheme, but what sort of differences do you just learn, or do you notice in learning a new scheme again?
Yeah, first of all, we go to more complex defense with just what we call, our verbiage is different. Like I said before, that's going to be new everywhere. The coaching style is different too. I love our old coaching staff, but our new coach staff is amazing as well, and they're really embracing their role and getting us to where we need to be. This spring ball was tough, learning a whole new defense right away, but I think getting those reps out and learning from it and having that stuff filmed is amazing for us to move forward and to look back at like how far we've come. But yeah, like going to anything new, there's an adjustment period, and having that before spring ball was amazing, that we could have our spring ball to use as a adjustment period, but also fine tuning the stuff that we do really well. So I really enjoy our new defense, and I think it's going to be just as exciting as our last defense too. And we got like one thing you can guarantee is we're going to run and hit, and our pursuit will never stop. So that's always guaranteed from our defense.
Well, that's the best part about the Grizz, right? It doesn't matter what the scheme is. That's going to be what's going down. That's what Grizz fans expect. And that's
exactly.
It's what you're going to see, no doubt. Well, Coach Sanders, it seems like he's a great teacher, and I know that's an interesting role, too, to be the defensive coordinator and the linebackers coach. You had that with Coach Coop as well. So, does that help you, too, just having the guy that's sort of the orchestrator of the defense also as your position coach?
Oh, yeah. Coming straight from the source is huge for us, too. I mean, being able to command the whole defense and check when we need to, having the guy that runs the show in our room is huge. So, yeah, it's been great.
Well, it's been a fun transition to follow along with, and certainly I thought you guys looked really good in spring ball. So last question about sort of the past and the offseason, then we can talk about some of these camps. So what sort of things do you think what sort of progress do you think you guys made during spring ball, and what's been sort of the motivation this offseason after having such a great year last year, but also one where I know you guys had aspirations to go all the way. So how has that motivated you this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, like getting the new guys in and getting to know them more and more, and now we're just so close is awesome. And that builds the team even more, because I remember coming in last year in the summertime and not knowing anyone, and how quick I learned it. I got to meet everyone, and how quick we became close was huge. And being able to pass that on to this next team, from what the senior leaders showed me, is one of my big goals. And also, like what we do really well is we communicate very well. All these guys are really hardworking, and just kind of getting to have the new guys understand what our goals are for this season, this off season, where we need to be. I mean, we get 2 months to really push that needle, and it's either you go forward or you go back. You don't stay the same. So getting all the guys to know that, and everyone has, which is amazing too. But yeah, we had a great season last year. It wasn't where we wanted it to be. And guys know that. Like, our new guys know that. Old guys obviously feel that still. But we have goals of where we need to be this next season, and we're putting the right steps forward to have that happen.
Peyton Ring joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. He's a senior linebacker for the Grizz football team. As you're listening to this, probably if you're listening on the radio, the team camps are in the rear view, but these guys have a camp coming up July 17th at Washington Grizzly Stadium. So first of all, tell us about, as we were recording this, you're in the midst of it. You're doing this, working with the kids. So what have you gotten out of it? What have you thought of just working, and like you said, giving back to the community?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, I think giving back to the community is huge, especially in the position we're in. I know a lot of the guys that are from Montana have told me like how special it is when they were kids, the memories they made with the Grizz players, and seeing them and being able, like for me, I grew up in Washington, and seeing like going to UW football camps as a kid, I looked up to those guys, and being able to be in this position, I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have this opportunity. So as giving back to this community as much as I can is a big goal for us. And I know our linebacker group took it on as a project with the Ronald McDonald House. Yeah, this too, with this group of guys we got on July 17th, I'm really excited for this, just to show the kids and the parents that we really appreciate you guys and everything you do for us. Especially being a new transfer, and how welcomed I came in as, and my family and everything. It's huge. It's very, very important to me, and I know it's very important to these other guys too, as you'll find out. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a big day full of a lot of stuff, and I'm just really excited.
Peyton Wing, Kaylee Ayotte, Brooks Davis, Tanner Huff, Ian Finch, the 5 sort of co-hosts of this camp coming up July 17th at Washington Grizzly Stadium. So what can kids maybe expect to get out of this camp? What do they expect to learn, and also what sort of fun can they expect to have?
Yeah, so I mean, we have guys from each side of the ball. We're going to be doing offense, defense, special teams. We have a lunch break included into that. We leave the kids. There should be a goodie bag of stuff like that, a little cinch bag, and then I'm pretty sure there will be a locker room tour as well too. But it's a full day. I know the kids. It's going to probably feel long for them, but it's really important that they come and just enjoy it and have fun and take it all in because it's one day too. So I'm really excited. I'm very thankful for the sponsors that we get from this camp and just the ability to be able to do this and be in this position. So I'm very thankful for that.
Well, we're certainly proud and happy to be a part of it as well. ESPN MT.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Of course, yeah, we love doing it, and we appreciate helping you guys out, and certainly getting the inside scoop on what's going on with Grizz football in the middle of the off season. So I love that you guys are doing this, and it's really cool. It's gonna be awesome for the community, awesome for the kids. So great job on that. We'll continue to let you know how you can sign up for this, and if you haven't already, you certainly should. And we'll give you all the different ways. We'll tell you on the radio here. We'll tell you on the television, and we'll also put links in our metadata on all the social medias as well. But Peyton, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks for making it for us, and good luck with everything here these next couple of weeks. We'll see you at the camp.
Yeah, Coulter, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Dr. Tim here from Montana Imaging Center. Healthcare costs are changing, and many hospital MRI and CT scan prices.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. It is a Wednesday. It means it's a Wing It Wednesday, courtesy of the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Despo has the best wings in Montana. You don't believe me? Well, we're going to send you to try some. All you have to do is text us right now, 406-888-1029. Here's what I want from you. Who are you going for in the World Cup? 406-888-1029. Here's who's left. Switzerland wins a thriller on penalty kicks against Colombia last night. Came all the way down to the last kick, and pretty darn impressive that Switzerland was able to emerge. Again, I always say this, but I'm no soccer aficionado, but I'd have to imagine that Colombia was the favorite in that match. So Switzerland moves into the quarterfinals. But here's your 8 teams you got left. France is playing Morocco. That is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Spain plays Belgium Friday at 1 p.m. Norway plays England Saturday at 3 p.m. And Argentina plays Switzerland Saturday at 7 p.m. Who are you going for in the World Cup, particularly now that the host countries, Canada, Mexico, and particularly the United States, are all out? Let us know, and that'll get you entered in to win some wings courtesy of the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. It's interesting because soccer aficionados would tell you that soccer and hockey are probably the two sports where maybe the best team doesn't necessarily win. There's several factors that go into that. In hockey, if you got a red-hot goaltender, that can trump almost everything. But there's also such an element of chance when you're shooting at this relatively small goal with a likely big person in front of it that are so skilled and great when you get to this level. There's also the fact, though, where in soccer, if you do score early, you can control the match so much after that. And you can make a 1-0 lead stand up, even if you aren't the better team. Despite that notion, you got most of the best teams in the world left in the World Cup, right? I mean, France is number 1 in the world. Spain's number 2 in the world. Argentina's number 3 in the world. England is in the top 8. Belgium's in the top 8. Norway's in the top 8. Switzerland and Morocco are the only two that are outside of the top 10 that are in the Elite 8. So it's basically the who's who of soccer that remains in the World Cup. So, again, France versus Morocco, Thursday at 2 p.m. You need to play at Swatch. Go on down to the Despo. Spain versus Belgium's Friday at 1 p.m. Norway versus England is Saturday at 3 p.m. And Argentina and Switzerland is Saturday at 7 p.m. The quarterfinals are upon us, the final 8. You need a place to watch. Head on down to the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. You want wings to the Despo? Keep those texts coming in. Who are you going for in the World Cup? 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us and let us know. Wing It Wednesday, every Wednesday here on Nuanez Now. Hour 1 of the books, hour 2 coming your way. ESPN Roundtable. Morning Wag times 3. You know about Coach Marty, but he's got a couple other sons that are coaching as well. And Camp Marty is coming up on Friday in Missoula. So we'll talk about that and other football storylines on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Missoula.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. The entire lineup of top-rated mattress brands are on sale with prices starting at $149 up to top-of-the-line mattresses with lifetime warranties. Get the sleep you deserve with payments starting at $39 a month. Mattress Firm has pillows, sheets, adjustable bases, all on sale too during their biggest 4th of July sale ever. Locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Montana Grizzlies will play 4 night games as part of its 12-game schedule as kickoff times were unveiled on Tuesday. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. The Grizzlies will play 2 home games under the lights. The first comes in their home opener against Southern Utah, which will also be Bobby Kennedy's head coaching debut at 7 p.m. on August 29th. The second comes in the regular season home finale against Idaho State at 8:30 p.m. on November 14th. The Grizz will also have 2 night games on the road coming in back-to-back weeks, 9 p.m. September 19th at Oregon State and 8 p.m. September 26th at UC Davis. That means 3 of U of M's first 5 games to start the season will kick off at night. The Brawl of the Wild against Montana State remains in its usual noon slot and will be played November 21st in Bozeman. The Grizz get 4 1 p.m. kickoffs all at home, September 5th against Drake, September 12th against Utah Tech, October 17th against Idaho, and November 7th against Portland State. They'll also have 2 2 p.m. kickoff games, October 3rd hosting Northern Colorado and October 31st at Eastern Washington. Their lone 3 p.m. game will be October 10th at Northern Arizona. Kickoff times across the Big Sky were announced earlier this week. Montana State opens the season with 3 straight night games, including road games at Utah Tech and Nevada. Montana State's homecoming game September 26th against NAU and the following Friday night at Idaho are both 8:30 p.m. kick times.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Including here. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has one bin recycling for you. They can pick it up for you at your house twice a month. Don't waste your time dragging it all over town. Grizzly Disposal will pick it up for you. You want to add the service or make the switch, visit grizzlydisposal.com. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. If you missed anything in the first hour of the show, you can always find it on the Nuanez Now podcast. We talked everything from World Cup to Grizz linebackers to a reading of the Declaration of Independence. This was actually really cool. This happened around the entire state of Montana. Broadcasters from Scobie to St. Regis read the Declaration of Independence live at 4 p.m. as an act of solidarity and a happy birthday to America, 250 years strong. So that was a cool moment. But all of that, plus an interview with Peyton Wing, great Grizz linebacker, on the first hour of Nuanez Now. You can find the podcast on all your various different podcast hosting platforms. We got a familiar face and then a couple guys that haven't been in a little while. Morningweg times 3. Marty Morningweg contributes with us here during the fall on the Monday afternoon quarterback, and his two sons, Bobby Cade and Sky, if you're watching on TV from middle to right, are joining us in studio as well. They're all in town for Camp Marty, which is the renewal of the high school camp that happens here in Missoula every single summer, and a cool deal. We'll get to the guest coach because this is actually a tip of the cap to the camp itself. But good to see you, boys. How you guys doing?
Let's turn it up, Coulter. It is so good to be back. It feels like I haven't been here in like years.
I know. I missed you.
It's just been a couple months, and I am so happy to have a couple other guests. I tell you what, we went, Bobby Cade and I, my youngest son, went to the airport, picked Sky up. Then we stopped by Dazzler's Car Wash.
Let's go.
Dazzler's Car Wash, went through there and then came on over right next door to Coulter Nuanez. 102.9 FM. I love it. This is one of my favorite things to do on a weekly, sometimes a weekly basis.
Yeah, well, we love having you. And last year we had you as much as we could, but you were around a lot because these two guys were all over the place. So we'll start with you, Bobby Cade. Tell us about the latest and greatest. You were at NDSU for a while. Now you're coaching at Drake. So how's things going in Des Moines? What's it like being at Drake?
Yeah, it's going well. Just went through a coaching change this past offseason. So our previous head coach took a job at Rutgers, and we hired Matt Walker from University of Wisconsin River Falls. They won the Division III National Championship last year. So he's coming over, and they got their whole brand coming over with them. They call it the Top Gun offense. So it's exciting times at Drake right now.
Well, Drake's been a program that's been sort of in the atmosphere of Montana for a long time because Rob Ash was at Drake for 16 years before he went to Montana State and had great success there, had great success at MSU as well. And it seems like the Bulldogs more often than not end up on a non-conference schedule for teams in the Big Sky Conference, and that's the case again this year. You guys coming back to Missoula. So tell us about that element. You get to be on the visitor sidelines at Washington Grizz.
Yeah, it's exciting. We always want to play top tier FCS schools, especially in the non-conference. And coming out to Montana, they got a great team with some great skill players out there. So it'll be a good game to test our new offenses and new defenses against really, really good opponents. So it's exciting to come out here.
By the way, Kate, congratulations on the conference championship last year. Yep. You added a little bit more bling to the family trophy
very
case.
Good. Pioneer League has become very competitive, certainly. And Sky, we got to start with your personal life because you got married last weekend. So congratulations, big guy.
Yes,
How was it?
Man, it was awesome. Yep, did it right in our backyard here in Missoula. It was so much fun. We're so excited. Just got back from the honeymoon, went to Maui, and it was incredible. So a lot of travel, but it's been a lot of fun. So appreciate it. Cool.
Pretty nice when the nicest wedding venue in Missoula is also your dad's backyard. I mean, Marty's got a place right along the river, and it's about as good as you can possibly get. So very cool. Congratulations. So you've been on the move though too. You're at Colorado and Boulder for a little while, and now here you are going to the big leagues, going to the NFL. So tell people about your upcoming transition here.
Yes, sir. So I was at Colorado for the past 2 years, working on the offense with Coach Shermer, Pat Shermer, and just got a chance to go to the pros with the New York Giants and the new staff with Coach Harbaugh and Coach Nagy. And so it's been awesome. The staff's incredible. Mini camp, OTAs were great, and we're looking forward to training camp in the season. It's gonna be good.
Well, that's very cool, and we'll have to follow up with you and see how things are going when you get to that big show. But we got to ask you about being in Boulder, because being at CU at the time you were there, I mean, man, college sports is crazy. College sports in the Power 5 is crazier, and then when you add in the how do you say, the spotlight that comes with working for primetime Deion Sanders, it's a whole different ballgame. So just give us just the basics of what it was like just trying to recruit there and coach there and all the things you learned there.
Well, he is primetime. What you see is what you get from Coach Prime, and it was so much fun working for him. I learned a ton from him and Coach Shermer, and having a chance to be in the quarterback room with Shador and go on that great run that we had, and also have a chance to work with the Heisman Trophy winner, and Travis was really great. So it was a great experience, and happy to be in New York now.
ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. Stockman Bank in Montana, only in Montana, and they plan on keeping it that way. Let Stockman Bank show you Montana's brand of banking. So now that you're back in the NFL ranks, are you still going to follow those CU guys a little bit? I mean, you still it's hard to break ties when you're that close with guys for that many years, right?
Yeah, of course. Got a lot of guys and coaches on the team that I'm rooting for. We recruited Juju Lewis, who's going to be quarterbacking for Colorado. Yep. I think they just did their media day recently, so I've been keeping up with them and rooting for them, and I think they're going to be able to put together a real good year. So yeah, I'll be following them for sure. Well,
Coach, you were a coach in the college ranks and then the NFL for what, 4 decades? So it comes with a lot of very rewarding experiences, but also a lot of volatility, a lot of moves. So what do you think of your two boys following in your footsteps?
Well, I'll tell you, I'd like to get to a couple games a year. I was unable to get to one of Bobby K's games last year, or was that the year before? The year before, yeah. So I got to 1 or 2 last year. So planning on spending a couple of games in New York. Mm-hmm. That'll be fantastic, and then a game or 2 in Des Moines, because Drake's coming to Montana. That'll be fantastic. That game, you've got 2 coaching changes at the head job, right? No doubt. 2 coaching changes. Drake's on the road, non-scholarship. I suspect you'll put up more than a little bit of a tussle, Bobby Cade, for the Montana Green. Hey, they're loaded though. I mean, they're Montana's quarterback, the runner, the receiver, so anybody who comes in to Missoula, Montana is going to have their hands full. But I suspect that you'll be ready to rock and roll. And then I will tell you, this is what I learned, though. If one of my boys is coordinating, I may get 3 phone calls a week. If they're a position coach, it's once a week. So, but it does it makes me feel a little bit a part of it, just a little bit. Yeah. So that's the fun part.
Yeah. Well, did you ever try to talk him out of this?
No. In fact, I've got a good story. Now, Bobby Cade, I think you pretty much knew you were going to go into coaching, but Skyler, he transferred from Florida to Columbia because, by gosh, he's going to law school.
Right.
And then he comes out and works for an ex-teammate of mine, Dave Paoli, while he's studying for the LSATs and all that. He's already taken the LSATs, gotten good scores, all that. I'm wondering where he's going to go to law school. You know. And then he comes upstairs. I just happened to be in for one more day. Comes upstairs with Bobby Cade and goes, "Dad, got to talk to you." I said, "Shoot." He goes, "I'm going to coach." I said, "Yeah, I figured that after law school." He goes, "Might as well start now." Lindsay grabbed her blanket and started leaving. I said, "Lindsay, my wife, you need to be part of this conversation." She gave me the hand. You guys got to do what you got to do. So I think Mom was a little, because I said, what happened to law school take you first? But you married a lawyer. Yep. So what do we finally got? A lawyer. Yeah.
Well, that's good. And sometimes it's just in your blood, right? I mean, I spent the last, 2 weekends ago now with Andre Patterson, who was one of our most recent inductees into the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he had a 43-year coaching career that included, I think, 23 years in the NFL. He told me he moved 29 times during his career, and he's still married to the same gal he married 44 years ago. And so, I mean, she obviously is a saint, but then his son, AC, is also got into coach. I said, AC, why you moved 30 times when you were a kid? Why you want to do this? But he said, well, what else would I going to do? This is the greatest thing I could ever think of doing. So
there's no better ups. There's no better juice than winning a big ball game and winning a championship. It's just that simple. Now, the bad parts are probably worse than regular life, but the positives outweigh the negatives in many cases. Now, here's the advice I gave to my 2 boys. I'm just from experience, just don't own anything that can't fit into your car until you're about 30. You know,
it's good advice
because you would pack up and leave at the drop of a hat within a matter matter of hours in many cases.
No doubt. Well, were you guys ever deterred by that? Because, I mean, you saw he had pretty good stability in his career, especially being
just the once. Decade in Philadelphia. Otherwise, I think Lindsay and I were married for, I believe, our first 10 years. We lived in 12 different places.
Crazy, right?
Now some of them was moving up from a condo to buying a house, one time. But it does get crazy, especially early in your career.
Did that ever make you guys nervous about the business, or what made you guys want to go into coaching? Start with Sky.
I thought it was fun. You get to move all over the country, meet new people.
Yeah, totally.
I thought it was exciting and it was fun, and we had a big family. We have a big family with 3 siblings, so I felt like that made us real tight together. We were moving together everywhere we went. Sometimes it happens where coach has to go across the country for 6 or 8 months and the family stays behind. That we decided never to do it like that, so we were always together. We were real tight and just enjoying it, and we got real fortunate. They were winning games like crazy in Philly for a decade, so we got to get through most of middle school and high school for everybody in Philadelphia. But I think I loved it. I thought it was fun, so that's why I'm doing it now.
How about you, Bobby K? What made you want to pursue this as a career?
Yeah, similar reasons, but I thought it was the coolest profession my dad to have, and when I was growing up, being around it, being around practices, going to training camp, all that kind of stuff. So my thought process was, once I get going a little bit, I want to give that life to my kids eventually, or my nephews and nieces, stuff like that. So that's really the coolest part about it.
Yeah, no doubt.
The ability to inject confidence in young men.
Totally.
I mean, there's nothing like that. You can see a young man just jump, talented young man just jump if you've got the ability to inject a little confidence in the young man. How do you do that, right? Reps, hard work, preparation, and then add a little juice to it, add a little motivation to it. So that there's not many things that are more rewarding than that.
No doubt. Stockman Bank presenting the ESPN Roundtable. Stockman Bank invites you to experience the Stockman difference as a family-owned community bank with locations throughout Montana. Stockman Bank committed to enriching the lives of Montanans and helping communities succeed. What that means to you is your money stays in the local economy, supporting your friends and your neighbors. Let Stockman Bank show you Montana's brand of banking. Well, speaking of injecting confidence, you guys have a chance to do that this upcoming Friday. The Camp Marty Quarterback School back for another year. This is a fun deal. Usually between a dozen and sometimes as many as 16, 18 quarterbacks come from all over the state, mostly Western Montana, but a lot of times guys, we've had kids from Billings and stuff like that show up as well. But these guys are hosting a camp on Friday between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and a pretty good list here. So this has been going on for a while now, Coach. I know this is one of your favorite things.
Oh, come on. You can see how important it is to our family. Both my boys are in town. My daughter tends to set everything up. She organizes quite a little bit. We've got a great guest coach coming, the great Tommy Malott. He's the first alumni to come back as the guest coach.
Yeah,
first draft pick out of the camp, and he's available because he's had a couple surgeries and he's not in camp, of course. But I think he's got a heck of a future, and the fellas that are attending this camp, they're going to learn so much from Skyler, Bobby Cade, myself, and the great Tommy Malott. It's going to be a heck of a camp. Now, Bobby Cade, take it and run with it. What do we typically do in the mornings?
Yeah, in the mornings we'll head out about 10 a.m. and go through about 5 or 6 drills that happen regularly in football games, like hitch, go or throw. We'll work escapes, front door, back door, basically anything that can happen in a game will work in that morning session for about 2.5 hours.
And then the fellas have to take that drill work and drill themselves on a daily basis to get to where they want. Then we go in and we have a little lunch and meeting. And then, Sky, what do we do in the afternoon typically?
So in the afternoon we work reads. So there are 4 reads as a quarterback. If you get really good at these 4 reads, you're going to have a chance to play at a high level. Vertical stretch, thinking 4 verticals. Horizontal stretch, thinking the old school Hank or Z-in. Over-unders, like deep daggers, and then 3-level verticals, deep crosses. And in the reads, it's a specific defender you're reading throughout that concept. So we'll go through all those 4 reads, drill them, and then give them to the players along with the drill work that we did in the morning and let them cut it loose and run with it for the rest of the year.
And then, Coulter, you've been there at the end of the camp.
Of course.
We typically end the thing with a trash can throw. And there's a little excitement because there's something in the trash can for the first couple guys to get the ball in the trash can.
I remember this must have been probably circa 2021. Zach Cruz, who's now become a great defensive end at Montana State. Everybody knows the whole story about that. We don't need to get on that whole part. But he was a great quarterback at Missoula Sentinel, was the player of the year at Class AA. But I remember he just absolutely annihilated this end of the camp. I mean, he was thrown in the trash can, throwing in the bucket. Like, he was so nails. I remember you asked me, you said, you think he's going to play quarterback in college? I said, no, man, he's 6'4", 225 pounds. He's going to play defensive end. And you're like, man, they should keep him at quarterback, I think, for a little while.
Here's what I would do with those type of guys. And you are kind of what your experiences are because of the Jim Plunkett story. State heavyweight wrestler, quarterback at James Lick High School, out of where I came out of, the same league anyway, the same conference. A great quarterback and defensive end. My coach in high school played quarterback on the all-star team that Jim Plunkett was on because Jim Plunkett was playing defensive end. So Jim Plunkett goes to Stanford and the coach after a year. Now Jim Plunkett had a little surgery and so forth, and the coach wanted to move him to defensive end, and Jim Plunkett says, "Oh, Coach, I'll do whatever you want. Just give me one more year at quarterback, and let's give me one more year, and let's find out." And then all of a sudden, he's Heisman Trophy winner, the first pick in the draft.
With multiple Super Bowls.
Two Super Bowls, yeah. MVP of the Super Bowl. So with quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, even if it doesn't look perfect, I would give him that extra year at the quarterback spot. They can always go play tight end or defensive end, which many of them end up doing, but I would give a young man every opportunity to become great at the quarterback position first.
Marty Morneweg, Skylar Morneweg, Bobby Cade Morneweg, all in studio with us. Marty's Quarterback School coming up on Friday between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. at Missoula County Public Stadium. I'm so excited to get your take then after you see this kid on Friday, because we'll give you the list of all the guys that are going. But one kid who is coming to this camp is Eli Casper from Missoula Big Sky. And this is exactly what we're talking about. Casper's bite, 6'2.5", 6'3", 220 pounds already. He's all buffed up. He's a basketball guy. He's a track guy. He could throw the ball, though, as good as anybody I've seen in terms of velocity. He doesn't spin it quite yet, and he's raw. He's raw, but he reminds me of a guy that you're going to love. So I can't wait for you to work with this guy, because I keep saying it. I know they recruited him. The Grizz have recruited him as an athlete, and I keep thinking, man, you got to give this guy a shot to play a little bit of quarterback.
Well, I love the talented, highly talented raw that you can develop. Yes. And they already don't have any bad habits. Right. You see what I'm saying? So, but I love the highly talented guys that don't, because once you give them reps, and I'm talking literally not hundreds but thousands of reps. Yeah. In many cases, they leapfrog over a less talented guy that's been well schooled for a decade, let's say. So, Sky, what do you think about that? The highly talented guy, because I know in college a lot of guys can trick you coming out, and they play that quarterback position so very well. But their talent level isn't quite there.
Yeah, you got to recruit the talent. I agree 100%. And it comes down to evaluation. Get the most talented guy you can, and then teach him and coach him. And that's what we're here for, is to get the most out of him. I agree.
I mean, all you need to know about Casper is last year, Big Sky, they had a 2-year starter coming back, and then he got hurt. And they were thinking, oh, no, we're screwed. We got this guy. He's supposed to be it's supposed to be his third year as a starter. And then Casper came in and led them to one of their great seasons in the last 20 years. They went all the way to semifinals of the playoffs. So he's a competitor, too. I'm excited for you guys to see him.
Well, that goes back to Cruz. He led him to a state championship playing 1 year at quarterback. The man's really a tight end or defensive end or linebacker type guy, and just had the gut instincts and the skill and ability to play quarterback at a high level for 1 year. I will tell you, Coulter, before we get off, and I know that you shouted out, Missoula is such a giving community.
Yes.
I mean, it's so important to Skylar and Bobby Cade and the family, where these quarterbacks come in, they don't pay a dime. They don't pay anything. Awesome. That's important to us. But in the meantime, the Missoula people support this thing so very well, such a high level, that these guys walk out with a couple of hats and a ball sometimes, and some shorts sometimes, and cleats for a couple years, and then they get to learn an awful lot, and then it's their duty, it's their responsibility to drill themselves and to get to where they want to be.
The young men that are participating in Camp Marty this year include Cannon Clark, who's from Hellgate, Case Cox, who's from Polson, Mason Cruz, who I believe is Zach Cruz's little brother.
Correct.
From Missoula Sentinel. Actually, 3 Sentinel quarterbacks that are coming. Dane Oliver's really bought into this, head coach at Sentinel. He always sends all his guys, even if they're only going to play on the JV or the freshman team. He likes getting them all in there to learn the stuff. But Tucker Lazlovich and Cole Lazlovich, both from Sentinel, are participating as well. Dylan Daniel from Hellgate. Cody Forthofer, who we'll come back to in just a minute. This kid's got a great story if you don't remember. Raider Gray from Butte, Grant Johnson from Gallatin, Eli Kasberg from Big Sky, who is a Grizz commit, Andrew Richardson from Loyola, Reese Silvanen of Helena High, Tanner Stern of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Carson Toivonen of Helena Capital, Jace Watkins of Big Sky, and Connor Weston of Hamilton. Forthofer, though, I was texting you the other day if you knew this story or not. When the Class A state championship was coming down, Billings Central was getting touted by coaches across the state of Montana as one of the great high school teams in the history of the state. They had been just murdering people. They were winning every game like 49-0, 56-7. If you would have put a point spread on Frenchtown versus Billings Central, you would have said that Frenchtown was 3 or 4 touchdown dogs coming into this thing. Well, then Frenchtown's down 14-3, and their stud quarterback gets hurt. They put the freshman in there. Forthofer goes out there and throws 3 touchdowns and runs in a 4th. This kid's never played a varsity game in his life. In the state championship, he goes absolutely bananas. He's 14 years old. At Frenchtown, they slay the Dragon, and they win going away 31-21 against Billings Central. Crazy story. So I'm excited for you to get your eyes on this kid, too, because he's another one who's, he's probably only 15 years old, and he's already got a state championship under his belt.
Yeah, a lot of talent, including him. Now, you know, Coulter, how it started. It was just Missoula High School quarterback.
Sure.
That was my thought there. And then the Missoula high school coaches were the ones that said, can we make it a little bigger?
Sure.
Well, absolutely. We could get, ESPN cameras in, but then I become an administrator.
Right.
I would like to be able to coach them just a little bit. And so they said, okay, well, let's can we invite some fellows from the rest of the state? Absolutely. And then that's why I started bringing in a guest coach, because I can handle 8 really well. Now we can have a few more because my 2 sons are older and they're coaching. They can handle 8. The guest coach can handle 8. So we made it a little bit bigger. I think we have 1 from out of state this year. Typically, we'll have 1, and a lot of talent out there in this great state of Montana.
I'm interested to see Connor Weston as well. He's another up-and-coming guy at Hamilton, and they have some good talent down there, too. Bryce Carver does a heck of a job down there, and they run a pretty sophisticated offense for a Class A school. So, and Weston, obviously, a prominent name down in the Bitterroot Valley. Brad Weston was a great fullback for the Grizz back in the late 1990s and led Hamilton to a couple state championships there before he came to the Grizz. So this is fun. So, Sky, what do you hope to sort of convey to these kids? Like, what sort of things do you hope they take from this camp?
Just learning to play the position and like my dad said, inject them with a little confidence.
Yeah.
Give them the baseline tools that they can take and run with. Because you can go to a camp for a day, but if you don't follow up on it and put in the work needed, it's one day of work. So give them everything they need and let them take it and run with it. And these are things you can do every day and get a little bit better every day.
Bobby Kidd, you've been coaching a lot of different stuff over the last couple of years, so you excited to get back to working with some QBs?
I am, and just like Sky said, and my dad has made a big emphasis on it, but we'll teach them as much as we possibly can. They got to take these things and drill them every single day.
I think this printout you guys got, the laminated thing, this is like as good as gold, right? If I'm a high school kid, I take this, I'm going to go do this every single day. Once you guys drill it into them, then you should go drill this yourself day in and day out, right?
Yeah, the fellas, they will learn about decision making. They will learn about accuracy. They'll learn about timing, gut instincts, eyes and feet. Turn it loose. Trust your training. Trust yourself. Trust your coaches. Trust the players around you, and turn it loose with a little passion. But that decision making is key. We'll teach them how to go about making the decisions. The accuracy. We'll teach them how to become an accurate passer. It takes a lot of work. Many times years and years of hard work and preparation. And they'll learn about timing, because every level that you go up, the timing becomes even bigger factor.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, just to finish your point, Bobby Cade, I mean, what other stuff do you hope these guys get out of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think just being coached by, one of, I would say, the best coach in the country.
I mean, thank you, Bobby Cade.
I mean,
proofs of the or were you talking about Sky or yourself?
And then, getting to be around Tommy and a guy who's been in the camp and a guy who went on to play quarterback at Montana State and win a whole lot of games at Montana State. I mean, just being around that type of coaching, that type of teaching will be great for these guys.
Well, you have to love the fact that Tommy's going to come back and do this with you, and also just what he evolved into. Because when he first got in there, he's just playing with his hair on fire, and they ran about 4 plays, but he just got lightning in a bottle, and they win all these games. But then he had to go through it a little bit, and I mean, his sophomore year, he was basically just like the other tailback, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but then by the time he was a senior, I think he threw 30 touchdowns, only threw 2 picks, and he's the Walter Payton Award winner. He's the greatest quarterback in the country. So you must have loved what you saw out of him and what he evolved into.
Well, we did. I remember Dane Oliver, a great coach at Sentinel High School that organizes this camp, does a brilliant job. And, he's got all the connections to the high school coaches. But when I first saw Tommy in his first year, he was in the camp for 2 years, and I went, okay, because he's about my size, or at least was.
Yeah, right.
He's kind of my style. I'm going, okay, who is this? Okay, how good? And then the next year, it was like, whoa. Yeah. Is this the same young man? And, kind of my style, about the same size, run and gun, throw the football. Now, the difference between him and many other quarterbacks, he ran a 4.3 something, in his pro day. I mean, the man is like fast. So other guys may be quick or might be bigger or might be a little stronger. But he had that 4.3 speed and legitimate 4.3 speed.
Do you think that hurts him at the next level? Not hurts him, but do you think it pigeonholes him at the next level?
Yeah, it may have. I mean, I think the best thing for Tommy, unsolicited advice, is get yourself healthy and then go up with Dave Dickinson,
right? Yeah.
Who's got his rights up there in Calgary, and go play quarterback. That would be my unsolicited advice. Because why? He's got the quarterback instincts. Yeah, right. He's got quarterback skills.
Right.
Play quarterback. Now, a lightning in a bottle every now and then, you can turn a quarterback into something else, but it's very rare. And you only hear about it when it works.
No question.
And it's tried hundreds and hundreds of times.
Well, I'm sitting there in Vegas watching him in the preseason, and he looks good. But then you're looking at the other guys that he's going to have to beat out, and it's like, this guy was the all-time leading receiver at Rice. This guy was the all-time leading receiver at Wake Forest. You know what I mean? Like, an NFL team's only going to keep, 5-6 receivers?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to beat out guys that have been playing the position their whole lives that are some of the best in the world. Well, that's a hard transition for a guy.
And I still think if the young man was healthy,
sure,
it may very well have worked, but now I say get up there with Dave and go play quarterback and go be the MVP of the Canadian League and go win a Grey Cup.
Right, and that's a great legacy to have. And
is it the Grey Cup up there?
Grey Cup, you got it.
Grey Cup, yeah.
And many guys from the state of Montana have done that. I mean, Dave Dickinson did that himself. Travis Lulay had a great career up north as well. Nuanez Now tonight, ESPN Radio. It's our ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Anything else people need to know about this before we get you guys out of here?
Here's the thing. I have more fun than anybody else doing this because I get to touch high school players. In fact, who was it? Was it Maddie or Molly or Mom that was asking me, did you ever want to coach the young high school players? No, I wanted to coach the best in the world.
Right.
But it is so much fun to be able to touch a high school player and help them just a little bit. Yeah. If we can help each one of these young men just a little bit, it goes far. And like I said, if they take this and work it on a daily basis, then they may be able to get themselves to where they want to be.
Well, very good. We appreciate you guys for swinging down. Good to see all three of you, and this was fun. Thanks so much for doing it.
Bobby Cade and Sky, this is awesome. Man, first time we've been on the radio together.
Yep. Thank you, Coulter.
Yeah, of course. Good to see you guys. Nuanez Now tonight, ESPN Radio. Give you an update on what's going down in the world of baseball. It's been sort of overshadowed by the World Cup. We got an update with the All-Star break coming up, plus a couple other fun storylines and whatever else we can get to. That's next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Montana Grizzlies will play 4 night games as part of its 12-game schedule as kickoff times were unveiled on Tuesday. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. The Grizzlies will play 2 home games under the lights. The first comes in their home opener against Southern Utah, which will also be Bobby Kennedy's head coaching debut at 7 p.m. on August 29th. The second comes in the regular season home finale against Idaho State at 8:30 p.m. on November 14th. The Grizz will also have 2 night games on the road, coming in back-to-back weeks. 9 p.m. September 19th at Oregon State and 8 p.m. September 26th at UC Davis. That means 3 of U of M's first 5 games to start the season will kick off at night. The Brawl of the Wild against Montana State remains in its usual noon slot and will be played November 21st in Bozeman. The Grizz get 4 1 p.m. kickoffs all at home. September 5th against Drake, September 12th against Utah Tech, October 17th against Idaho, and November 7th against Portland State. They'll also have 2 2 p.m. kickoff games, October 3rd hosting Northern Colorado and October 31st at Eastern Washington. Their lone 3 p.m. game will be October 10th at Northern Arizona. Kickoff times across the Big Sky were announced earlier this week. Montana State opens the season with 3 straight night games, including road games at Utah Tech and Nevada. Montana State's homecoming game September 26th against NAU and the following Friday night at Idaho are both 8:30 p.m. kick times.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
It's just such a good song. I don't care who you are, where you're from. I love Brooks and Dunn. Welcome back. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal, the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Montana State sophomore Lauren Now stretched her lead to 7 strokes in the second round of the 109th Montana State Women's Amateur Championship Wednesday. This is being played at Cottonwood Hills Golf Club in Bozeman. So here's the way that the state am works. All you got to do is be living in Montana. You don't have to be from Montana. And that's been an interesting fold because we've seen, especially on the women's side, there is no men's golf at the collegiate level, right? In Montana, at the Big Sky Conference level. Women's golf, though, especially at Montana State, has become very good. They were the second best team in the Big Sky Conference this last year. They've had back-to-back individual champions. So those young ladies that are playing at MSU and at UM have then, when they're in Montana for the summer, competed in the State Am, which when you got Division I college golfers competing against the rest of the field, they're probably going to be pretty good. Now, she's from Arizona, but she led by 4 strokes heading into yesterday. I guess he's heading into today. Sorry, this is right now. This is recent. And then she shot a sizzling 6 under 66. So she's 8 under for the tournament so far, and it'll wrap up with 18 holes on Thursday. Wednesday's round included a bogey-free 9 that featured birdies on number 1 and number 7. She had an even par back 9 with a birdie on 11 before a bogey on the par 5 12th. A hole she had eagled the day before, but now still she sits at 8 under, 136 strokes going into the final day of the Montana State Am. Montana Grizz golfer Katie Lewis, who hails from Frenchtown, is in second place. She's tied with Bobcat Sailor Graham. Lewis carded a 1 under 71 to go along with her 72. So now certainly way out in front, but Lewis certainly performing very well. Raina Ports, who is now a former Montana Grizz, she just played her senior year this last year. She was the defending champion. She won the state AM last year. She is tied in fourth with Evan Heinz, who's also a Bobcat. So as you see here, this is a pretty strong trend. You got a Bobcat, a Grizz, a Bobcat, a Grizz, a Bobcat in the top 5. I don't know if I feel bad for the rest of the field, but it is a little bit tough to, let's just say you're like the men's state am. You do have your collegiate golfers, like Cade McDonough is the guy who just won it, and he's currently playing at Abilene Christian, so he's a D1 guy. The young man who won the state am 2 years ago was a guy who exhausted his collegiate eligibility, but he had played at Liberty, which, that's a premier golf program. But also then you have your other guys that have been in the mix that are, in there, like Joey Lovell when he won it, he was like 35 years old. He had been a collegiate golfer at Lewis and Clark State once upon a time, but he's, he still works as a golf pro and as a coach at Montana State, but he's a guy that he's your average guy, right? He's a great golfer, obviously, to go win the state AM. But to me, I don't know. I don't know if I have an opinion on this, but I do think I sort of lean towards like the spirit of this to be just the greatest amateur golfer, not the greatest Division I golfer that still lives in the state that's currently competing. You just got to feel bad for the people that aren't the D1 golfers, right? It's like, to me, I guess it's not that big of a surprise that you got the best golfers from the Cats and the best golfers from the Grizz are the ones that are taking control of this tournament. But also, great job by them. And the fact that it's in Bozeman, I think that these Montana State gals are probably familiar with that course as well, so pretty interesting. Peyton Tryon of Billings Senior leads a field of 14 juniors for the Carla Berg Trophy, which is given to the best 18 and under golfer. Tryon is the defending AA champion. She's coming in at 156, so that's a full 20 strokes behind now, but still the top of the leaderboard for the golfers that are of the high school age. And in the Masters 40, that's for anybody over 40. Audrey Wooding of Bozeman leads by a stroke. Her 36-hole score is 163. Sable Kurtzman of Colstrip is a stroke behind, and then Jamie Mackey of Polson is in third at 168. So that's all courtesy of the Montana Golf Association, so appreciate them for sending that scoreboard along. We did a little bit on the men's state am, so I figured we'd give you an update on what's going on with the women's state am as well. Wanted to talk about some Montana State games. That's the state games, the Big Sky games, I guess, is what they're called. That's coming up, and there's a couple cool events that are worth highlighting. And also wanted to talk a little bit about kick times, and also wanted to talk a little bit about baseball. In the effort of having a little room to breathe, we'll take one more break, come back, and do all three of those things. That's next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
In honor of our great nation's 250th anniversary, Mattress Firm is having its biggest 4th of July sale ever. Save up to $1,000 off top-rated Tempur-Pedic, or save hundreds off Purple mattresses and premium adjustable bases. Save up to 50% on top-of-the-line mattresses, all backed by their 365-day guarantee. See store for details. It's their biggest 4th of July sale ever at your locally owned and nationally known Mattress Firm.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
On 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Man, I'm pretty excited. I've been doing this for 10 years. So if you followed along, you know about my trials and tribulations, but also exceptionally good times that I have every summer in the middle of July with my great friend Nick Tabor. If he's listening, shouts to you, Tabes. But he started inviting me to the Missoula Country Club member guest tournament a long time ago, and it's always my favorite, or one of my. I have a lot of favorites, but I have a great life, so might as well give some gratitude towards it. But Tabes and I have played in this thing for I don't even know. I think 7 years running now, 8 years running, and it's super fun. And I look forward to it every year. I try to get as tuned up with my golf swing as I possibly can every year to play as best as we can. And we've had better years than others, but at the end of the day, it's always a fun time hanging out with a bunch of fun guys. And sort of like the height of summer, right? Because usually then, last couple of years, it's actually been the exact weekend leading into the Big Sky kickoff. This year, I actually get a little reprieve. We play the tournament, and then I get a week before we got to go to the Big Sky kickoff media days. But that's coming up next week, so we will be off on Thursday and Friday, but looking forward to it. Speaking of golf, it's Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. You're still playing clubs that don't fit your swing. You're leaving shots all over the course. Last Best Golf Company specializes in professional club fitting and custom golf clubs designed specifically for you. Whether you're looking for more distance, tighter dispersion, or greater consistency, Last Best Golf Co. has a fitting process that helps you get the most out of every swing. From drivers to putters, every club is built to your exact specs with precision and care. Stop guessing. Start playing your best golf. Visit Last Best Golf Co. today at 517 South Orange Street in Missoula and experience the difference a proper fit can make. British Open also coming up next week, so we'll have a little bit of coverage of that before I take my my last long weekend, and then all of a sudden, boom, football is here. So looking forward to that, certainly. Still Diamond time. We gave you a little update on the Paddleheads. I gave you some tickets yesterday. Paddleheads dove back into action. They're on the road for the next few against the Boise Hawks, and then Boise comes into Missoula starting on Friday. We're going to dive right into the Paddleheads. It's already going right now because they're playing a doubleheader. So we're going to go directly into the Paddleheads. I believe this is because they had they must have had some sort of issue with. Well, no, I think they're playing a makeup game from earlier this year, actually. Excuse me. But Paddleheads won last night in Boise, 17-12. And the doubleheader right now, the first game, 0-0 in the top of the second. So we'll roll right into that with Jeff Safford on the call. But it's a big series for the Paddleheads. Paddleheads and Boise are both jammed right in the middle of the Pioneer League. Paddleheads were 2.5 games behind the Hawks entering this series, but they got one game back yesterday, and we'll see how it goes with the double dip here going on today. But we will give you a chance to win tickets a little later on this week here as well, as we're into the height of summer and then subsequently baseball season. Major League Baseball is getting close to the All-Star break. So here's where we're at with the standings. Diamond Time, probably presented by DeMorris Automotive. DeMorris Automotive has been family-owned in Missoula since 1958. DeMorris Automotive at 3115 West Broadway, proud to offer Buick, GMC, and Mercedes-Benz. The American League East was expected to be among the most competitive divisions in baseball. It has been, but I don't know who had the Tampa Bay Rays as the team that was leading as we approached the All-Star break. I had a lot of different people that were doing divisional picks, and everybody was saying either Yankees or Blue Jays or Red Sox. They thought the Rays would be maybe a playoff team, a wild card contender, but they're a full 4 games ahead of the Yankees, so they've had a great start to the year. They've been dominant at home. They actually have the best home record in all of baseball, 32-13. They've won 7 out of their last 10, and they're rolling right along. 4 full games ahead of the Yankees. Blue Jays are in third. Red Sox have been decimated by injuries and just wildly disappointing. They are 12 games out of first place, 7 games below 500. In the AL Central, again, I think everybody thought it was going to be, it's one of those divisions that was wide open, but people thought it was going to be Guardians, Twins, or Tigers. Not White Sox, but the White Sox are the ones winning. But it is a pretty tight race. White Sox have a 1-game lead over the Guardians and a 3-game lead over the Twins. So all 3 of those teams certainly in contention. American League West has been a slog of sort of this 500 baseball, and that's been true for the Mariners, the Rangers, and the Astros. Seattle leads the division, but they are just 2 games above 500. They have a half-game lead over the Rangers, who are 1 game above 500, and they have just a 2-game lead on the Astros, who are 2 games below 500. So everybody's jammed up right there, 47-45, 46-45, 46-48. That's where we're at with that American League West, but pretty tight division there. The National League East, also a tight division, and it has lived up to the billing. The Philadelphia Phillies fired their manager about a month into the year. They hired Don Mattingly as the interim manager. He's done wonders. The Phillies have been hard charging, and they are now just 2 games back of the Atlanta Braves. The Braves did have the best record in baseball. That right now belongs to the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll get to them in here in just a minute. But the Braves have still been very good. It's a great resurgence for a young Braves team that they won the World Series, then they've been competitive, and then they fell from being competitive mostly because of injuries. But now they're back to being one of the favorites in that division. But they're going to get everything they can handle from the Phillies, the Marlins. The Mets have been the ones that have been really disappointing. Everybody in the National League East, is above 500, except the New York Mets. They are 15 games back. They are 38-54, which is creeping up there on one of the worst records in all of baseball. Worst record in baseball right now is the Angels. They're 36-56. But then you have the Mets at 38-54 and the Rockies at 38-55. So those are the teams that are pulling up the rear. But everybody else in the National League East has been very good. They are all above 500, and just 3 games separate the Braves, the Phillies, and the Marlins. In the Central, the Brewers are in full control. They've had a great year so far. They have the second most wins in baseball, 58, and they're a 7-game lead over the Chicago Cubs. But the Cubs are above 500. The Cardinals are above 500. The Pirates are above 500, so that's a very competitive division as well. And then the National League West, the Dodgers are running away with it. Padres have been disappointing. They're below 500. The Diamondbacks have been disappointing. They're below 500. Dodgers got the best record in baseball, 60-33. They are a full 14 games up in the division. They're 30-16 at home, 30-17 on the road. They have a run differential of plus 163. The Brewers are the only other team in baseball with a triple-digit run differential. Brewers have a plus 137 run differential. So the Dodgers, I mean, living up to their billing as the defending champions, but also they're spending more money than God. So I hope that I hope they are. But either way, I mean, it is what it is, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game. The debate of what the collective bargaining agreement should look like and what the salary cap or lack thereof should look like and what influence that has on baseball, that's a totally different discussion. But for now, this is the system that they all play under, and the Dodgers are spending and the Dodgers are winning. So I don't know if it's good for baseball or not. It's entertaining, certainly. And it gives you something to talk about. I mean, I think teams that are villainous and teams that are prone to root against, I think that actually rallies people because you have like a common enemy. And I think it actually increases the popularity of sport, as weird as that might sound. Diamond Tire, proudly presented by DeMorris Automotive. DeMorris Automotive has been family-owned in Missoula since 1958. DeMorris Automotive at 3115 West Broadway. Proud to offer Buick, GMC, and Mercedes-Benz. Looking forward to the World Cup. I think all four of the matchups in the quarterfinals are going to be great. We got one tomorrow, France versus Morocco. France is the number one team in the world, and Morocco is probably the biggest upstart that remains in the Final Eight. So that should be fun. That match starts at 2 p.m. Spain and Belgium is at 1 p.m. on Friday, and then you got a double dip. Norway versus England at 3 p.m. on Saturday, and Argentina versus Switzerland at 7 p.m. on Saturday. We'll be back at it tomorrow with some fun stuff for you, including Carolyn Chicken Doesn't Know Sports and our latest Grizz interview with Brooks Davis. We'll see you then. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.